Creepy late night dog walk. This happened last summer when I was 16. We had bought a Great Dane puppy named Kingsley the previous fall, and whenever I'd stay up late at night, he'd stay up with me. Since he was still fairly young, I had to take him outside right before I went to bed or else he would have an accident, which meant I took my dog on a lot of quick walks around the park across the street from my house, late at night. I was always on the lookout for suspicious strangers, since our house had been broken into before, and it wasn't uncommon for homeless, drunk people to be messing around in the park. I wouldn't say I was used to sketchy things happening around my area because it's not really a dangerous area, but I felt I had a fair handle on how to react in these sort of situations. This night in particular, I was walking Kingsley around 1 a.m., and he pooped, so I was taking the bag to the garbage bin at the far end of the park. It's not a very big park, and you can almost see my house from where you're standing, but it was dark out, and I felt uncomfortable walking so far away. I never locked the door because I usually take him out to pee and then just return. I can see my door at all times. So I got to the very end of the park and threw the baggie away. And right then, a red car with dark windows drives down the street towards me. They drive slower and slower until they finally slow down to a stop right next to me. There's no stop sign there or anything. They just stopped, with the car still running. I couldn't see inside any of the windows. I got a weird feeling and pulled my dog back towards my house. In my head, I was thinking that maybe they are just trying to park on the side of the street, or maybe they just like my dog. It sounds dumb now, but it had happened a couple times before, where people would slow down and roll their windows down and make some harmless joke about Kingsley, because he looked ridiculous as a puppy. Regardless, I turned with the dog and started to speed walk back to my house. Here's what really freaked me out. Once I turned to go back to my house, I intentionally walked behind this group of trees, just in case the people in the car tried anything. I was expecting them to turn down the street, heading away from me, but instead, they turned down my street, which is a one-way street, with very clear signs going the opposite direction. I thought, okay, this is a little weird. I better wait right here, and I squatted down with Kingsley. As they turned down my street, they turned their headlights off. I couldn't come up with any logical reason that they would do that. It was very dark out. I could still see the outline of their car as it drove slowly down my one-way street. My heart was racing. Kingsley didn't understand what we were doing, but I held onto his collar and kept him next to me until their car left my sight, which felt like eternity as they were driving very cautiously. As soon as I couldn't see them anymore, I hauled ass out from underneath the tree across the street and straight back to my house, slammed my door shut, locked it, and ran upstairs. I could see the red car starting to make another go around the park, this time with their lights back on, and all I could think was, shit, what do I do? What do I do? As my mom was asleep and I didn't know whether to call the police or not. Our front doors is basically a large window, so I made sure to stay away from it so the red car couldn't see me and where I lived. We also have 3 very large picture windows on our first floor, so I peeked out from a side window where I felt safely out of view and told myself, okay, if they drive by again, I'm calling the police. Luckily, I didn't see the car again, but it still scares me to take my dog out late at night, even though now he's the size of a small horse and barks like a monster. Long walk past the cemetery. I was 18, and the only one of my friends who had a car. I was also way too nice about letting my boyfriend at the time use it. I was taking evening classes at the local community college. At this particular evening, I told him he could drop me off and take my car to hang out downtown with some people. He promised to pick me up afterwards. Class let out at around 8 p.m. on time. I went to the parking lot with everyone else. My boyfriend was nowhere to be found. I went to check my phone for messages. Maybe He let me know he was running late, but it was dead. I sat on the curb and waited. After about 20 minutes, the parking lot was empty. I found enough change in my backpack to make a phone call at the payphone outside the building. I got his voicemail. I was getting pretty angry. I waited longer. About after an hour had gone by, I gave up and started walking. My nearest friend lived about 5 miles away. I wasn't in a bad part of town, so I wasn't worried about walking by myself after dark. And anyways, I was too livid at that point to sit still. I remember walking and snapping my fingers to the beat of some song that was stuck in my head to make the walk more interesting and to take my mind off being mad. It was late by the time I got up to the cemetery, a little more than a mile from my friend's house. It's the largest cemetery in the city, spanning several square blocks. I kept expecting my boyfriend to pull up, worried and angry, demanding that I get into the car. In my head, I played out the fight that would ensue. I was walking past the cemetery, day nightmaring about this and nonchalantly looking at the grave markers, when I noticed someone standing there. Their shape illuminated by the yellow streetlights. My brain snapped to attention. It had to be past 11 p.m., way too late to be in a cemetery. And this person wasn't walking along one of the paths, but standing behind a large headstone. It was definitely a man, was about 20 yards away from me, facing my way. I watched him warily as I walked, and after a few moments, he stepped slowly from behind the headstone. I stared. It took me a moment to realize, but at first I thought I might be mistaken. But even in the dim light, I could tell what was up. This man did not have pants on. I ran the last mile to my friend's house. I didn't look back and I didn't stop, even though I got a terrible stitch in my side. I remember she was watching Half-Baked when I got there, and she asked me what was wrong. I don't know why, but I didn't tell her about the cemetery guy. I told her about getting stood up, and then I just felt like running part of the way. I didn't tell anyone about that for years. In retrospect, I should have called the police, but I don't know how dangerous that guy might have been. I think I was too freaked out and too angry at my boyfriend at the time for it to even cross my mind. PERV realizes I'm a dude when it's too late. I've got about 500,000 of these let's not meet experiences, but this one is by far one of my favorites, and my brother's favorite story to tell his friends about me, so here goes. I was about 22, this was 12 years ago, when I worked at a video store. It was a few days before Halloween, and my manager asked me if I would work it since everyone else wanted off. So me being the good employee I am, I said yes and asked if I could dress up. She agreed and said I could dress up as whatever I wanted. Can I dress up as a chick? I was just joking actually, until she told me I didn't have the hair on my nuts to do it. Okay, challenge accepted. I went out shopping and bought a wig, dress, and some makeup, and I borrowed a bra from my current crazy girlfriend at the time. A story for another time. I did my makeup the way I saw my girlfriend do and proceeded to walk to work. Now I only lived about a half mile from the store, and since I lived within walking distance to everything, I didn't see the need for a car at the time. So I started walking. I had to cross the street, walk across a bridge, cut through an abandoned parking lot, and through an alley, and I was there. It was dark outside, but I've never had anyone bother me while I was ever out for a nightly walk until this night. About halfway across the bridge, I look up and see a man in his late 20s, maybe early 30s, walking towards me. As I get a little closer, I realize the fucker is checking me out. What the fuck? I giggle a bit and laugh at the thought that I must make a pretty hot chick, right? I walk past him and continue my way. As I walk and continue to let my mind wander into La La Land, I get through the parking lot and start down the alley when I hear someone say, "Hey, sexy girl!" And I feel my ass get slapped, not like a love tap, but a full-blown, painful ass slap. The kind that leaves fucking red marks. What the fuck? I yell as I turn around and confront this asshole and realize it was the punk I passed on the bridge. Whoa, man, fuck, shit, sorry, dude. He was obviously caught off guard. Looking back on it now, I can't stop laughing as I type this, but at the time I was beyond livid. I grabbed him by the cuff of his shirt and shoved him on the ground. I moved in to kick him a few times, but he was pretty quick to get on his feet and run away. He took off the way we came, repeatedly yelling shit. I stood there just stunned for another minute, thinking to myself, what the hell just happened? I went into work, and as soon as my manager saw me, she started laughing. God, I didn't think you were gonna actually do it. Of course, she laughed even harder when I told her how I almost got sexually assaulted. So, perv dude, for your sake, let's not meet.